Hello, I'm Racheal Fosu. Welcome to season 2 of The Life of a Caregiver. Today I have with me Ashley Washington.
Hello.
Thanks for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, Ashley is our fastest reader of the book Hold Me Till My River Jordan. She'll tell you how long it took her, but it's actually interesting because Ashley is here to interview me today. I know it's kind of weird, right? But that's what we will be doing. So, Ashley, I'm actually going to turn it over to you.
Well, this is exciting and a little nerve-wracking. So I got this book over, I think it was Thanksgiving. And one night I popped it open and read and kept reading and couldn't put it down. So it took me about 3 hours to read the book. And I told my boyfriend Lionel, I was like, I read it. And he fell asleep. We were on FaceTime and I woke him up. I was like, you read it? He was like, all of it? I said, yeah. He was like, you just started it. I was like, no, you've been asleep for a while. Um,
3
but yeah,
hours.
I've read all my life, so I'm a bit of a fast reader. But I couldn't put it down. I
Wow.
literally could not put it down. Because it talks about so many things that so many people don't like to talk about.
Mm,
Um, so it was good.
thank
It was really
you.
good. So thank you for writing it and putting your heart into it. I know it wasn't easy. I know it's still not easy.
Right.
So I do appreciate it.
Thank
I do
you.
appreciate it.
Wow.
So what made you even want to write the book?
Wow. Well, um, I think I got to a point after Dom passed away. I honestly didn't really want to do therapy in the regular sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to visit a couple of therapists, never really gelled with anybody, and kind of wanted to really do it in the Christian context, which was hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally was walking around my house going stir crazy because I had just left my job at NICE
Yeah.
and I was doing my MBA, but I had a little bit more downtime than I'd ever had. And so one day I just pulled up my chair to the table in the kitchen and started writing.
Mm.
And as I started writing, a lot just started pouring out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, well, this is interesting. And so I would start to wake up every morning. I would get up at 5:30, 5 to 5:30 every morning, because that's when the boys were asleep.
Okay.
And if I didn't do it then, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
So I would get up 5:30 in the morning, sit at the table, and just start writing.
Yeah.
Next thing you knew, I kind of got addicted to it.
Mm.
And the reason I did is because I hadn't really poured out my feelings about everything that happened.
Yeah.
So I kept doing it and kept doing it. And next thing you know, it became a habit. And 16 months later, I had 800 pages. And I was
Wow.
like, I didn't know I had 800 pages worth of stuff to write, right?
Yeah.
And then I said, wow, maybe I should have somebody read this and see what they think.
Yeah.
And so I asked a friend who was involved in the Christian publishing area, to just have a look at it and tell me what he thought, and his team. And so I sent it over to them and they were like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow, we really do think there's a story here. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then it kind of went from there. So we went into editing mode. Obviously, the book still is pretty sizable,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but we cut out half of what I'd written.
No.
Yes.
Oh,
So can you imagine?
I want to read the original.
Yeah,
I want all the
I
details.
know. There's a lot of details still not in here.
Oh my gosh.
And so we went through a very long editing process.
Wow. Like I have so many comments and questions about that. So were you, before you decided to write it down, you said you were going stir crazy and not really wanted to talk about therapists. Did you have anyone that you were talking to? Did you have any
Right.
friends or?
I really wasn't. I kind of closed up, and they talk about the stages of grief.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was in the denial phase because, we had at certain points I was kind of scared many times that Dom might pass away, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but I was in the anger phase. And so in that phase, I really wasn't talking a lot
Mm-hmm.
to a lot of people about that experience.
Yeah.
And most people who are around me actually don't know the full experience till they read the book.
Yeah.
So, no, I really wasn't. And that's part of what probably had me going stir crazy. I literally was walking around the house talking to myself. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm really grieving right now. I've got to do
Yeah.
something about it.
Yeah.
And there were several times where I would kind of get in a car and have panic attacks and be driving myself to the hospital because I thought I was having a heart attack and then realize, no, you're having a panic attack. I had never had those before.
Yeah.
So physiologically, things had started to happen
Yeah.
that were scary. And then I just like, okay, I really need to do something
Get it
and
out.
yeah, get it out somehow.
Mhm.
And I did visit a couple of therapists, but we just didn't click.
Yeah. So after you finished the book, like the minute you looked up and were like, okay, I'm done,
Uh-huh.
did you feel any differently?
Yeah, I felt differently all through, because you read the book. There are parts
Mhm.
where you cry, where you
Mhm.
laugh, and
Mhm.
everything in between. And so I experienced all of those emotions.
Yeah.
And so I was able to pour all of that out.
Mhm.
There'd be times I would sit, and there were things like, there are a few places because I didn't really write notes through the whole experience. I didn't, right?
Okay.
Because people always ask me that, and I'm like, no, I don't have a notebook somewhere with all this
Because you're
information.
in it, it's hard to be like, oh, today this is what
Exactly,
happened.
exactly. And there were a couple of friends who told me as things were going on and saw how crazy it was that I should write a book, but there's no time for that. You're caregiving, right? And I'm a mom to two little boys.
Yeah.
But I did do, and I always love to take photos. So I had a lot of photos and a lot of video. And so I was able to, for certain points where I wanted to get the narrative exactly right, I would go back and re-listen to those videos. And that gave me a
Mm.
sense of timing.
Okay.
And so in listening to some of those videos, realized I had missed some things,
Yeah.
which was wild. But yeah, so it just kind of flowed as
Mhm.
after I got to a certain point and I could not stop writing.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. I wasn't kidding about reading the all of it.
That's
All of it.
wow.
Because
Well,
I
I,
think
I bet
I
you probably do that in 6 hours.
well, no, I think because when I met you, you're so successful, you're so
Uh,
beautiful, I mean, it's hard to say somebody looks like they have it all together,
right.
but what's the phrase? You don't look like what
What
you've
you've
been
been
through.
through, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So to read it, and I'm like,
Really?
what happened? You're in a foreign country?
Yeah.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. Like, it doesn't
Wow.
it's crazy. It's so inspiring. You talk about like the people who, came to the hospital to sometimes stay with him
Right.
and, your mom taking care of the kids. Talk about your circle and the people that you had to help you.
Right.
Because I know being a caregiver, like you said, even Dom was, going to help his brother and you need breaks. You need you time. You need, time to still be yourself in the midst of everything else that's going on. So talk about your circle and how much they helped.
Wow. Immensely.
Mhm,
I just I could not have done it without them. From when we first got the news,
mhm.
the school where the boys were, they rallied really quickly and started delivering food every day.
Wow.
I mean, we got more food than we needed, and I was just like, okay, make them stop. They got to slow it down, right? So there was food showing up here 3 to 2 times a day,
Wow.
anything you could think of,
Mhm.
and you know, they did that, and then Dom's friends got together and they kicked in and started ordering groceries and delivering those.
Wow.
And they were on some kind of rotation where different people would show up every other weekend or every weekend. And his sister and her husband
Mhm.
and their family, young family, were really like in it with us
Wow.
every week, coming
Wow.
from
Yeah.
New York, upstate New
Mhm.
York. Um, and my mom practically moved into here.
Mhm.
My aunts, my cousins, just people around, in our
Mhm.
town. Everybody was pitching in some way.
Yeah.
And I learned very quickly that I could not be shy about asking for help, because ours was a protracted amount of time. Some people, caregiving is a shorter, quicker,
Mhm.
more intense
Mhm.
period. hours was long, and so it took a toll.
Mhm.
And so having people there to really be able to just call and say, hey, can you come and help me with this today?
Mhm.
And finally settling into being okay with doing that, because I'm like, I'm not the type of person who would normally be calling people to ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Getting over that
Mhm.
was major, but now, I have no problems. In fact, somebody might be picking up my son for football today.